Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Shay. In Old English, the word meat was a general blanket term for food. These days, the definition of meat most commonly refers to the edible flesh of an animal, though you could also use it when describing the edible part of a plant like coconut meat or nut meat. Meat has been a principal food for centuries and has been in demand regardless of its expense. The main reason for the high price of meat is the amount of time, effort, and feed it takes to rear animals for meat. Large amounts of food, for example, pulses, cereal grains, nuts, vegetables, fish meal, and grass have to be provided, and the conversion of these into meat is inefficient. Some people feel that this is a waste of food that could be used to feed humans, particularly in poor countries. When they reach the right age, animals for meat are slaughtered in abattoirs. The cleaned and gutted carcasses are hung in cold store, inspected and graded, ready for sale to a butcher. The butcher cuts the meat into joints or cuts according to the amount and portion of bones, lean meat, and fat in the various parts of the body. Lean, tender joints are more popular and difficult to produce and therefore cost more. So the butcher must separate these accurately. Meat is sold in specialist butcher shops, supermarkets, or direct from farm shops. It can be bought in bulk for freezing, and many butchers join it for the customer. Pre-frozen meat joints can also be bought in bulk from freezer centers. Good butchers should have a sound knowledge of what they sell and should be able to advise customers about the sustainability of different joints for cooking. The color of meat is mainly due to the presence of myoglobin, which is a purple-red tissue protein, and hemoglobin from the blood, some of which is left in the meat after slaughtered. In a living animal, hemoglobin takes oxygen to the muscles, and myoglobin holds it there so that the muscles can work. There is therefore more myoglobin in well-used muscles such as the heart and shin and in older animals, and the color of the meat is darker in both cases. When oxygen is taken to the tissues, the myoglobin is converted to oxymyoglobin, which is bright red. The meat remains dark red until it is cut and exposed to the oxygen in the air, when it becomes bright red. When fresh meat is stored for a few days, its color changes to a brown red due to the formation of methmyoglobin. This does not seriously affect its palatability when cooked. If storage is continued, the meat may become green-brown through the effects of enzymes and bacteria. This will spoil the palatability. As meat is an expensive food, it is wise to choose carefully. Consider the following factors. There should not be too much bone in a joint, as this reduces its value for money. However, some is needed to produce flavor when cooking. Cheaper cuts of meat, which are generally tougher, are just as nutritious as more expensive, leaner cuts. If cooked well, they can be made into appetizing and nutritious meals. There should not be too much visible fat on the joint. It should be moist, but not dripping. It should smell fresh. Lean meat should have a marbled appearance. It should be slightly springy to the touch. For its intended use, allow for possible shrinkage during cooking when choosing a joint. It is uneconomic to use expensive lean joints of meat for stewing or casseroling. As a general guide, allow about 100 grams of meat per person. Meat is an important food as it is a good source of protein, B vitamins, iron, and zinc. It is a main source of high biological value protein for many people. Modern techniques of breeding and feeding have been adopted by livestock farmers in many countries. These produce meat with a lower fat content than traditional methods. Pressure from health experts and consumers has increased demand for meat with a lower fat content. So all farms now produce animals with less fat, and butchers prepare lean cuts of meat by removing some or all of the fat. The minerals found in meat include iron and zinc. Meat also contains B vitamins in useful quantities, and pork is a particularly good source of thiamine. Both the protein and fat in meat are readily digested and absorbed in the body. Meat is affected by heat and changes during cooking. The proteins of meat denatures at high temperatures. As the proteins denature, the structure of the meat tightens and the meat becomes firmer. The protein of muscle fibers, which are actin and myosin, may toughen during some cooking methods. The connective tissue is tenderized during cooking. It becomes shorter and thicker so that the meat shrinks in size. The collagen is converted to gelatin in the presence of moisture, which greatly increases the tenderness. The elastin is only softened slightly. Meat can be partially tenderized before cooking by doing the following. 1. Mechanically pounding, scoring, and cutting across the muscle fibers to reduce their length. 2. The use of enzymes such as papain from the pawpaw plant, which partially digests the protein. And 3. Marinating in vinegar or alcohol. Muscle tissue increases as the animal gets older. So the older the animal, the tougher the meat from it. The parts of the animal's body that do the most physical work, for example, neck, shin, forearms, have the largest muscle fibers and so make tougher meat. Individual muscle fibers are formed into bundles, surrounded by a substance called connective tissue. The bundles are then formed into groups, which are also surrounded by connective tissue. Whole muscles are attached to bones by tendons. Connective tissue is made up of two proteins, collagen and elastin. Collagen is the main component of tendons and the connective tissue surrounding muscles, particularly those that do most work. Elastin is a main component of ligaments in between bones and has the ability to stretch and to return to its original shape. It is an insoluble and tough protein, but there is less elastin than collagen in muscles, so it does not have a major influence on the toughness on meat. Meat is used in a vast range of recipes all over the world. The various cuts of meat are used for different purposes, according to their suitability for each cooking method. As a rule, lean, tender cuts are suitable for dry methods of cooking. Examples of these are grilling, roasting, and frying, whereas tough cuts of meat require slow, long, moist methods of cooking to tenderize them. Thank you so very much for watching. We have come to the end of the lesson for today. And do remember, every day you learn, you grow. So keep learning and you'll keep growing. Bye for now.